Hi, so this video is going to explain how to configure a single TMD 4 Plus switch to get a light to turn on and off. So this is how we're going to end up. If we press this button here, the A2 button, the light turns on, press it again, the light turns off. The actuator that turns the light on is this device here, which is a MAXinBOX 16 Plus. I can actually manually turn that light on and off by pressing the button here, and the light would be on. Again, I can turn it off, but obviously the way I want to be able to control that light under the stairs is by configuring the actual TMD 4 Plus panel. Okay, so what we're going to try and do here is to make use of these existing group addresses. Now note when I click on these, there's no objects actually currently connected to these particular group addresses, so that means that in the current status nothing gets read or written to these particular group addresses. But to get the light to work, what we need to do is get a connection between the actuator and the actual switch. So to do this, first of all, I'll go to the actuator, which is in the MAXinBOX 16 Plus. So if I scroll down here, this is within the devices view, there is this item here, and within that we have these group objects associated with this particular channel. And the one that I'm interested in initially is this one here, which if a telegram is sent correctly to this group object via the group address, which I'm going to connect it to, it will actually turn the actuator on and turn the light on, which is what we want. So currently, if I did that and then wrote that detail to the actuator, that would work, but I actually want to connect it to a button on the TMD. So let's go down to the button. This is all within the devices window here, and the particular device I want is this one here, which is the 3210. And if I go into here, it shows all the group objects, but if I click down here, I can see just the specific objects associated with the buttons, and the particular button I'm trying to use here is the A2 button. That's the top row, the right hand, the top row, the right side one, which is the button I need. And at the moment, well, we have these two settings, but the initial one that I'm interested in, or the group object I'm interested in, is this one here, because I want to link this down here. Now in this current status, the way it's set up at the moment, this will actually allow the button on the TMD to control the actuator, which will turn the light on and off. This is not fully set up, but it would actually function to some degree at this particular stage. So what I need to do now that I've done those setting changes is I need to go in and write the changes to the particular devices. So to do that, I need to go into one of the settings here where I can just download, do a partial download to the MAXinBOX, so it has the appropriate group addresses loaded. So that's downloading at the moment, and then once that's done, I can go to the TMD device, which was the 3210 device, and I can do a partial download onto that as well. So once I've done that, I've got this particular device, the TMD and the actuator connected so that it will turn on and off as explained in the next video. So we can see here that the actual button here has been programmed so that it will trigger the actuator to turn the actual light on and off. However, the actual LED associated with the button on the TMD is not configured or not connected to a group address. So as such, the LED doesn't illuminate. Okay, to understand this next step, you really need to understand something not just about the group objects and the group addresses, but you need to know something about the flags as well, which are these things here. So as an example, if we go back to the settings that we've already put in place, we can see here and get an understanding as to what's happening by looking at these group objects associated with this group address. So these are the two group objects associated, and we can see here what's occurring is that we press the button on the TMD4 switch, and by virtue of these particular flags, and in particular it's the T flag, which essentially means that when the status changes, it will transmit a telegram to the address of 0040. And what happens is that because the actuator is also subscribed to that particular address, it will read that telegram off the bus, and by virtue of this W, it will write the settings from the telegram that are in the telegram to the MAXinBOX, and it's via that method that it actually turns the actuator channel on and turns the light on. But now what we want to do is to make sure the LED light on the TMD also turns on, and to do that we use another group object, and here's one that's set up that doesn't have any group objects associated with it, so that's what we're going to do now. So we could do it in either order, but I'm going to go to the MAXinBOX first and go to the channel 14 here, and looking at these group objects. Now this is the one we've already used, the on-off, which represents the actuator actually turning that channel on or off. However, internally, what happens when that actuator is turned on or off, it also internally, within the actuator device, it changes its status to reflect this. So when the actuator gets turned on, it will change the status of this group object internally, and at the moment that's all it does. But what we want to happen is to have that group object, or when this group object changes its status, for it to put a telegram onto the channel and send it to a particular group address. So we're going to use this group address here to reflect that. And at the moment, so what will happen now when the actuator turns on, the status will also go on, and a telegram will be sent to the bus to the 0041. But currently nothing actually reads that, so that's kind of only part of it. The next part I need to do is to go down to the TMD 10 device, and again with the buttons here, we're looking at the A2 button here, and what I want to do is to link this group object, which is reflecting the status of the LED light, to this particular group address. So now we have it that when the MAXinBOX's actuator channel turns on, by virtue of this T flag, it transmits the a telegram to the 0041 address, and by virtue of this linking here and the fact that this is a W flag, this device will receive that telegram and it will write that setting into the device, which in this case turns the LED on or off to reflect that status. That's it, let's give it a go. So in this situation, I start everything in the off status, that is, the button hasn't been pressed and the light is off. I now go in and actuate directly from the MAXinBOX channel 14. And we can see here the LED is on and the light is also on, which is what we expect. However, if I now press this button here, we hear it click. That is, the button has changed status because it actually thought it was off. If I press it again, it now thinks it's on as the LED displays, also is on, and turns it off. Okay, so we have one final step here, which I think is in some ways the most confusing step to understand what's actually occurring. But in summary, what's happening with the current arrangement is that when the TMD button is pressed, it puts a telegram onto the channel, sending it to 0040. And the MAXinBOX receives that, and subsequently it turns on or off depending on what the change was, but if it's going on, it turns it on. Internally, the MAXinBOX changes its status, and this is with this group object here, and as a result of that changing status, another telegram goes onto the bus. In this case, it's directed to 0041. The TMD now receives that and it's associated with the LED, and it turns it on at that stage. However, the situation occurs where it's possible that the device is turned on directly from the actuator, and in that situation what happens is this group object gets changed. Internally, it changes this group object and generates, because of the T flag here, generates a telegram, and the LED status in turn picks that up and reflects that change. However, in that situation, the actual TMD switch still thinks that the actuator is off, in the instance where it was actually turned on directly from the actuator. So what we need to do is to add one more group object to this status, and we do that by going into the TMD, and we get this group object here, and we bring that down and associate it with this group address. So now in this situation, if you manually actuate the channel from the actuator itself, the telegram a telegram will be put on the bus, and by virtue of these two group objects associated with this group address, it will do two things. It will turn the LED on, and it will also change the setting for the switch. And so this now will all work correctly. There is one odd aspect about that, because we've now got this situation where two group addresses is associated with a single object, and so that sort of raises the question, well, what happens when someone presses this switch? Which group address does it actually send a telegram to? And to understand that, we have to go a little bit deeper into here, and we can see that in fact we have this sending setting here, which means that when that particular group object, this one here, changes, it will send a single telegram to the network address to 0040. And again, kind of repeating myself here, the reason we have this 0041 here is so that was to do with this part here where we added this setting, this group object into here, and that allows the actual status of the switch to reflect the status of the actuator regardless of how it was turned on. So that's it, it's all set up now. So if I press the button, the light turns on, press it again, light turns off, and the LED reflects that.